Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Cucchiara, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Cucchiara.
Welcome in. It's Joe Cucchiara with Real Estate Radio Live as we kick off the new week. Just a reminder, we're with you on Monday through Friday. We bring these podcasts to you every single day in an effort to educate you and inform you, the consumer, and we're excited that the podcast is listened to people not only all over the greater Bay Area, but nationally and internationally, and we'll continue to grow that avenue to, again, the objective of the show has always been for 7 years now, is to educate and inform the consumer to help you make wise decisions in and around your real estate. Sitting here today, as I always do on Tuesdays, with Mike and D'Ambrosio. Mike,
hey
good
there.
to have you back this week.
Yeah, good to be back.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Tough to be away for a week.
That's right. I missed you.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about luxury real estate, some of the expectations of the homeowners that are looking for those price ranges, and also homeowners that are selling at those price ranges. Mike's going to talk a little bit about that. Just a reminder, if you need anything in the way of real estate, Mike's here to help you, assist you in any way that he can. If you need to reach Mike at reradiolive.com, or you could text or call him at 408-630-0101. Any financing I could help you with on the purchase side, refinance side, I'm here to help you with that. Two ways to reach me, Joe at reradiolive.com, and also text or call 408-838-9060. Before we jump into the luxury real estate, maybe give us a little update. Is there any breathing room here? Did we get any homes on the market, any more homes over the last week or so?
Yeah, it's creeping up there.
Is it? Good.
Hasn't been over the top or anything.
But it's a little bit,
up.
Huh?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, we're looking last few weeks or month and a half, we've been talking in the 750 unit range for the Santa Clara County. It's about, for single-family condos, townhouses, we're almost at 900 now.
Okay,
so it's creeping.
I
wouldn't say it's been a substantial bump, but it's going to continue. You know, it's the first week after the Super Bowl, or first 2 weeks after. So it's going to continue getting better. It's just going to take time, but it's getting up there.
So would the message, I'm guessing, but you're the expert in this area, so would the message be to those listening, if you're thinking about it, pondering, wondering, would now
get it on the market?
Yeah, so it would be, because it's a competitive advantage, right?
It is. I mean, I've talked to some sellers recently that are saying, June, July, but the bottom line is that the market's, I think the market's going to be good throughout the year, but we don't know in a couple months what the competition is going to look like. What you do know is that, I'm thinking off the top of my head to a specific client right now, is there's nothing on the market around your house right now.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for you? It means more competition for your house, for buyers that are looking in your specific neighborhood. It's simple math, basically.
Yeah.
So.
And for the buyers, I'm going to tell you out there, and we're going to share with you, why is it a good time to buy? Well, because rates are still pretty good, but rates have gone up, like most of you know. And the thought is, most of us think that the rates will go up even more as we go through 2017. So why is that good to know? Because depending on your loan amount, it could be several $100s a month between the time that you get a rate, in the next couple of months, versus if you get a rate later in the year and the rates are up over 0.5%, let's say, just for example. We don't know that's going to happen. So good news for buyers. Get out there, and if you're not pre-approved, get a hold of Mike, get a hold of me. We could help you with any of that activity as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to chat a little bit about the luxury market. Some people might say, Mike, luxury market, don't you guys deal with any? That's all you deal with out here.
Yeah.
Most of the rest of the United States.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
So what would be, for the listeners, Mike, the average, let's face it, the average sales price around these surrounding counties are about $1.1 million.
Yeah.
Which is most people in the United States, well, that's crazy. That's But that is what it is. So what would you categorize first, I guess, just to break this down for the listeners, what would you categorize luxury or high-end? Where does that kind of start in your mind?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of go by the guidelines of Prestigio, which is our luxury division of Intero.
Mm-hmm.
Just to, before I answer your question, just to give everyone a little bit of a background.
Yeah,
so we have some big brands in this area in Silicon Valley. We're one of them. We're number one in market share at Intero. Well, Intero about 4 years ago created what's called the Prestigio program, which is our luxury division of real estate sales. We actually hired Alon Pinnell. He's a person. There's actually a company called Alon Pinnell Realtors, which is known for its luxury listings. But we hired Alon Pinnell, I like to say the man, and so he works for Intero now because he left his company a while ago, and it's run by whoever now. So we actually hired him to create this new luxury division, and since then our luxury market share has gone up. I don't even know how many times, but over. And so we're doing very well in the luxury market as a company, Intero Real Estate Services. For those of you that don't know. So according to that, and these have gone up over the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years. It started at $1 million, but to be in the quote unquote standard tier of Prestigio is 1.8 to 2.9 million, and that covers all of our markets with the exception of these specific ones below. So, so we have 1.8 to 2.9 million is the standard. Tier 2 is 3 million to 3.9 million. So that's like Los Gatos, Saratoga, Los Altos, Palo Alto, Burlingame, Carmel, Sonoma County, Napa County, San Francisco. Then you have the ultra luxury. Tier 3 is 4 million plus 4 million to 4.9, and that's like Los Altos Hills, Woodside, Portola Valley, Hillsborough, Pebble Beach, and some certain areas of San Francisco like Pacific Heights and Nob Hill, etc. Then you have Tier 4, which is 5 million plus, which is basically Atherton. And so that's about it. So that's the Prestigio luxury in the greater Silicon Valley, greater Bay Area, and I think that really covers it.
These are some of these prices will sound, as you're listening to this show, if you're in a different part of the United States and you're thinking, oh my God, the average sales price over here is $200,000. We've talked about it before. The weather, the location, proximity to all these wonderful things, but ultimately it's driven by the business center in the Silicon Valley and the Fat Valley, the heart of venture capital, the heart of where a lot of stuff happens in business, certainly on the technology side. It's funny, Mike, there's been a dub themselves Silicon Valley 2, the second coming to Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, Antonio, and up in Seattle, Washington, even a certain extent the East Coast, to have these little mini I think it's taken decades.
I think it is. It has. It's taken a long time. Again, we have the jobs. The terrible thing is Wall Street in New York. That they have the financial district. I mean, that's they might be here. But I wanted to go back on when a lot of people listen to the dollars. Well, we're a part of this program. Intero, one of the only companies around here, is a part of this, and a part of their company is this thing called Luxury Portfolio, which is a global marketing program. To have your properties exposed on that globally is $1 million. Well, so we're feeding this website a lot of their luxury listings, but for the rest of the country, that's a pretty program. Takes it to a whole nother level, frankly, because we have to.
Right.
So
good point. Free market, what's it really like? Who meets that criteria? The high end, the high net worth. I'll say the difference in. Let's start on the on the listing side now. You have a $1 home they want to put on the market. Start with talking about the conversation, different, or maybe you don't, or some extent you do, to someone, let's say, listing a house for 5 or 6.
Different approach. It's, you do the typical list, real estate part of the listing. It's a whole nother level of marketing that most real estate agents don't typically do on date often. I love it. I love it for the marketing side of things. I love the creativity that is involved to market these properties. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is, not only do you do all the custom, there's really a whole nother level to that you have to go global with luxury real estate. We have a lot of buyers coming from Asia and other parts of the world. And then I really... for example, I have a luxury listing coming on in Almaden later this year. It's a 6-bedroom, 6,000 square foot house. It's gorgeous. It's got views of the entire Almaden Valley. Retired 49er player. This particular house has a humongous garage, one of the biggest in there. So what am I going to do? I'm probably going to target people that are car enthusiasts, target groups. You target high-level CEOs, executives.
Right.
You have to start specifically targeting the right buyers that might be interested in this type of property. And really, so for me, brainstorming that stuff and trying to figure out, and whether it's through social media, whether through its direct campaigns, calling campaigns, print advertising, I mean, all of those types of things are involved in trying to market luxury real estate. So.
Very good. All right, we're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about luxury real estate, a little bit about on the sell side, buy side, how is it different. This is Joe Cucchiara sitting alongside Mike D'Ambrosio. We'll be back with you in just a minute.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Hi, this is Joe Cucchiara of Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We are your go-to resource for all aspects of real estate, including buying, selling, refinancing, building, and legal and tax advice, and much more. You can subscribe to Real Estate Radio Live podcast on iTunes and Stitcher to listen to an engaging discussion about anything and everything real estate. So make sure you get our app, RE Radio Live, in the iTunes store to follow the show.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Cucchiara.
Welcome back in. Joe Cucchiara with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series, as we roll through the week. We are Tuesday. Mike D'Ambrosio and I are with you today, talking about the luxury real estate market, giving you a little better insight, open the door, if you will, to give you an idea of what that market's like, kind of the price point levels. Mike talked a little bit about those levels. Also, he started to talk a little bit about expectations, how you need to more really target your, on the listing side, target your potential buyers, because some of these houses are so unique and they are a luxury item, and there are certain people that what I learned years ago, Mike, in this when we started talking about luxury real estate and people that own a lot of real estate, and these people that seek out, it's a different approach. And what I mean by that, maybe you could talk a little bit about what I found out and what I see is it's they purchase a lifestyle.
Yeah,
right. They're not purchasing a home to raise their kids. I'm not saying they won't do that, but people with that kind of money will typically have houses in other areas, and it's more
touch on is the lifestyle. I mean, that's why you see these lifestyle videos where they have the model, they have all that. This is why often on my music we have, you've seen this type of stuff on those shows, the $1 million. I mean, but it's what you got for the buyers of these properties. Right. So it's definitely the lifestyle. Different part of it that people may not think, like the fears, the privacy. Yeah. I know, again, this is maybe, someone that is, really, really wealthy, that would rather not people know what they're looking at, what their home's all about. I think, with these types of people you suggested, is that they do want to buy a football player's condo in Santana Row. And it was pretty private. What I mean by that is oftentimes people think, well, you got to sell these properties off market, off MLS, or you got to hide the price, or you got to do this and that. I think you're doing, as a listing, both on MLS and to other brokers and that type of thing. I get the whole privacy thing, but I think there's where you're showing it, exclusive times. You can make it where they have to filter while properly exposing the property to the right people as well. So I think by doing it is really specific. Selling something off market is, you're not doing yourself a guy that runs our division, that's not the right thing to do either. And I believe Alon, because he's one of the brew, right? Yeah, that's true. So you have the obvious MLS, you put on the US, but then talk a little bit about the strategic approach and the targeting. You touched on a little bit. Yeah. Looking for a home buyer for a property like this, that's just, do you use your network? Do you have a high net worth agents and clients, or how do you do? What's your strategy over and above just putting it on the MLS? Yeah, good question. So that it is obviously doing all the typical MLS marketing, online marketing. But then, you have, as a luxury listing agent, you usually have a network of other agents that do business. For example, I know the agents that work with the sports players. I know exactly which ones to call when I have something like this, because I know that they have an in with these clubs around here,
right,
i.e. the Sharks, Niners, Giants, that type of thing. You have a network of agents. You have online listing syndication websites, and certain companies have these syndications and certain don't. So that's why I'm really happy where I'm at, because we have those syndications with the Jewwise of the world, which is the Zillow of Asia. We have all those relationships with the right websites that's going to get the property to go global. So there's the online portion of it. There's the networking with other agents. There's networking with other managers and brokers of other offices in the actual market the listing is in. So I'll go as far as, that's why I do a lot of networking with other realtors, because I know a lot of the other managers, I know a lot of the other realtors, so they'll put my property in front of their offices. So like if I get a listing in Los Gatos, not only am I going to put it out to Intero, I'm going to call just Sereno. I'm going to get my listing in front of those other people too, because they're in the market as well.
Right.
I'm not going to shut out other companies just because they're from another company. That's, this is a team effort here. So that's kind of some of the things that are involved in it outside of the print advertising and the online, and the MLS and that type of thing. There's other things that you got to do too. So
let's switch gears a little bit with a few minutes we have left, and on the buy side. So now you're working with a buyer instead of a listing. Some of the stuff may be very similar that you just talked about. But talk a little bit about the differences in maybe, someone like this potentially, right, is probably really busy, maybe travels a lot, might even need to see stuff via video.
Right.
What kind of approach different do you see when you're assisting someone on the buy side when they're looking to purchase a home for $4 to $5 million?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and you're right. It's they are often busy, so you really got to cater to their schedule, and sometimes you won't get both people there, especially if it's a couple making a decision. So you really got to find who's the real decision maker here, and oftentimes that's the wife usually, but it could be the other side. So you really got to make sure who's making the decision, and then it's going back to the lifestyle. Part of it is really having that conversation with them in the beginning. Is what type of lifestyle are you looking for, and then really catering the types of properties you're showing them to that lifestyle they're looking for. Because if you're not hitting those hot buttons, they're not going to find anything. So and then to kind of segue perfectly into what you do as far as, and then you have to talk financing, because with these properties, financing is a humongous part. I mean, it's a huge part of any real estate transaction, obviously. But the financing side, you got to really know they're locked and loaded, because I don't want to be going out and showing $4 to $5 million properties, making myself look like a fool to the listing agent and to everyone else when these guys aren't even properly qualified. So talk about that.
I will. What's funny as we're talking about this and I'm listening to you, I think it's a letdown and a disappointment, even though most people, if you've done financing reason, let's face it, it's not easy. I mean, if people tell you it can be more manageable, but especially if you're talking about jumbo financing, let's face it, the guidelines, underwriting, the super conservative. It's a lot of manual underwriting. It's unique requests, and I'm laughing a little bit because when you go to purchase the house, right? You get in the contract, you have them sign the contract, you get that going. And then I just kind of cringe when you think, okay, this, someone wants to do financing on jumbo, and then we give them this long laundry list of things, especially if let's face it, especially if it's a corporation, maybe they have partnerships, they have K1s, all these different things. So really important. Most people, believe it or not, I mean, you have all these homes. Mike talked about $4, $5, $6+ million. For the most part, people don't usually finance more than $1 million to 1.1. One of the primary reasons is that's in the United States anyway. That is your tax deductible maximum. 1.1 million on your primary residence. You could write off 100% of the interest on those loans. Now, that doesn't mean a lot of people will leverage additional money and borrow additional money. They do. But the difference is, I think, with these people at this area, similar to what you're talking about. Number one, They're typically very busy. What I see a lot, Mike, on the finance side, and I think this is important for you, I very rarely, it's kind of interesting, deal directly with, let's say, the primary income earner. So let's just say, for sake of our conversation, it's the husband. Maybe they both work, but the husband owns a business, or maybe in a certain runs a company or whatever. I almost deal entirely with their CPAs, sometimes their financial planners. It's interesting. Matter of fact, I'll ask up front, their CPA or tax advisor or maybe a financial planner, should I copy in the client? They said, no, don't copy in the client. If there's something I need to reach out to them, I will. Otherwise, I'll just take care of everything. Yeah. And I get it, right? If they're busy and, why would they want to spend the time doing that, even though it's very important? So I think the thing that's unique and different is that, and the fact that also there's a lot of, what I see, Mike, a lot that might surprise people. A lot of people that buy homes like this that even leverage $2 million loans, a lot of them do prefer, believe it or not, interest only or ARM products with better interest rates, what they call cash flow ARMs. Yep. It is interesting because they understand money. I see that it's a lot when people own their own business. Cash flow is big for them. Mm-hmm. And if they'll come in sometime and put big chunks down on their mortgage, or they like the fact that they don't have to. Yeah. So it's a big advantage.
The other interesting, I know we're up against it, but is the appraisal part of the process too. Right. Well, a lot of times, they have so much little loan to value. It's not, the appraisal is kind of a moot point. Right. But the appraisal, when it is in play with a multi-million-dollar property, it's always an interesting process. I mean, I really got, as a real estate agent, you really got to go in and butter up that appraiser and go through all of the parts of the. It's hard. I mean, we could probably do a whole show on the appraisal part. I mean, we could do that. That would be good. I think that's well worth it, because a lot of people also scratch their head when they figure. Some people are funny, even if it's a refinance. They could have all kinds of value, and because they think their home's worth more, they're all upset. And I said, wait a minute, that doesn't affect your pricing. You're still going to get the same rate. Yeah, but Joe, it's principal. My home should be valued. So, we'll take up that. We're going to have to cut out, unfortunately, today, but that would be a great topic. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to have to cut out. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Again, just a reminder, Mike and I both would love to have you give us a review. Go to iTunes or reradiolive.com and let us know what you think. And if you have any ideas or thoughts, we're always happy to hear from you. Until tomorrow, take care, and thanks again for tuning in. See you guys.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at reradiolive.com.